this session, I'm so excited to share with you what is the underlying reason that we attract contrast when we are trying to manifest our life's big vision. And when we crack this, you can collapse time like no other. When I understood this and I started to work on this, I turned my annual income into my monthly income. I manifested a 22-room house. And not only that, I mastered the art of literally collapsing time from years into months and months into weeks. And it's just so powerful. So first of all, the reason that you attract contrast in your manifestation is not because you're doing anything wrong, because that's what we start to think. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm missing a step. Maybe there is something that I need to know. And we start watching endless YouTube videos, reading books, asking other people, checking our notes. But the whole point of contrast is to help you become a match for your manifestation. So what do I mean? When you ask God or source that I would love to manifest a monthly $1 million business, now before God or source can give it to you, it has to be assured that you can handle it. For instance, if you're saying, I want to manifest my dream partner, right? But are you able to handle a relationship? Because what comes with a relationship is sometimes tough conversations, is sometimes strong emotions, is sometimes things not working. So the whole point of contrast is to help you receive and handle the thing that you're asking. Because on this planet, in this entire universe, in fact, there is a law of polarity. And law of polarity says everything has its opposite. So good has the opposite bad, up has the opposite down, right has the opposite left. So everything has been created an opposite. So what you're asking, right, if you're asking a lot of money, then the opposite is being able to handle losing a lot of money, being able to handle spending money, being able to handle having problems with money, right? So until you can handle the contrast, you're not ready to receive the thing, because everything comes in pairs. So you cannot just say, I want the right, but I can't have the left, because if there is a right, there has to be a left. There cannot be any left without the right, and there can't be right without the left. So when you're saying, I want this, now what starts to happen is that you are attracting the whole thing, because everything comes in opposites, right? So you are attracting the whole thing, and contrast is the part of that thing. Contrast is the part for you to build the emotional intelligence, the grit, the wisdom to be able to receive that thing. If you're saying, I want kids, I would love to manifest a child, but becoming a parent requires a lot of emotional intelligence, leadership, being able to deal with the tantrums sometimes, being able to handle your child's difficult emotions. So the thing that you want, the fact that it's incredible and it's big also means that there is a person who needs to be activated to be able to handle and hold that thing. So let's say that if you are asking a source for a lot of money, but you are someone who cannot tolerate anybody being unhappy with you or anybody saying anything about you. And then when you have a lot of money, some people think rich people are bad. So how would you handle that situation if you're not okay with anybody having any negative feeling about you? Or how would you handle the situation when people will say, okay, you should be spending money here and you should be doing this, and you realizing that, you know what, I get to decide, right? I don't want to completely give away other people the power, because now that I have money, people expect me to spend here and spend there, but I don't have my own will, right? So if you are a people pleaser, you won't be able to handle money that well, and you're going to lose it. So the whole reason you're actually experiencing the contrast is it's the preparation. Like I say to my clients, it's like a free course. You don't even have to pay for it. It's a free course. So whatever you are asking from source, there has to be a version of you who can hold that, who can receive it. So if we take this example, like there is a glass which can hold a certain amount of water, right? And if you put more water, it's going to spill it. But if that glass now is asking for more water, it has to stretch its capacity to hold the emotions, to hold that thing, to have the discomfort. And all the contrast is doing is preparing for that. Now, there is a very powerful way that you can actually skip the contrast. right? There is a way that you don't have to go through contrast after contrast to become a match, and you can skip it. Now, God or source doesn't care about how you become a match. But when you ask for something, you have to become a match because you have asked for it, right? That's why the contrast starts to get activated and they get triggered. But if you are saying, you know what, is there another way? Is there a shortcut so that I don't have to go through the contrast? Yes, absolutely. And the way is, you can ask yourself, what kind of belief that version of me who has that level of wealth would have? What kind of emotional intelligence would they have? What kind of capacity would they have? What kind of thoughts they would have? How empowering thoughts would they think? So for instance, if you're saying, I would love to have my soulmate, or I would love to have a perfect relationship, a loving and caring relationship, but you do not love yourself, right? You do not come from a place of loving unconditionally yourself. Now, the reason the contrast will come in your manifestation is because it wants you to learn to love yourself unconditionally. And for that, you might attract somebody in your life who actually triggered the whole thing, and you realize, oh my God, like this person is showing me where I don't love myself, or this person is hurting me so much, and that person might reinforce the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself and the lack of self-love to show you to through the zoom light, the spotlight on all the gaps in your being, right? Or instead of waiting to attract the contrast for all those things to happen, because you have to become a match either way, you can say, you know what, let me skip the contrast and let me just ask myself, which part of me is not ready? Which part of me is not still loving myself that way? Do I really love myself unconditionally? Or am I constantly being critical of myself? Am I constantly saying I don't deserve the right man? Am I constantly saying I shouldn't be loved? I don't love myself the same way. I'm constantly so harsh on myself. I'm constantly criticizing my body. I'm constantly criticizing how I look. And you say, you know what? Can I put it down? Can I just put it down? And if you don't put it down, and if you are not very self-aware, then you will have to attract the contrast, because otherwise you won't become a match. So contrast is a rite of passage. It is like it's preparation for you, but you don't have to attract the contrast to prepare. You can prepare otherwise. So if you are saying, I want to manifest a very successful business, right? Or I want to manifest scaling my business, then are you able to handle objections from other people? When you become very visible, are you able to handle people criticizing you sometimes? Are you able to handle somebody saying something bad about you on social media? And if you're like, these things really trigger me, then can we heal that first? Right? So it's so easy, like for somebody to say, you know what, I want to be a Taylor Swift, like I want to earn millions in a day, I want to become a billionaire and all that. But what contrast helps us to do is to become a match by being able to hold the emotional intelligence, the conviction, the grit, the belief in ourselves, the resilience. Because all these people with a lot of money or with their perfect relationship or all of that, they also hold the power to deal with the opposite. So while somebody can be in the greatest relationship, sometimes they have ups and downs, or sometimes they feel like, they're not loved the way they would love to, and then they go within and heal. So as you heal, as you start to really say, what part of me is not ready, putting that identity down, putting those insecurities down, putting those limiting beliefs down, putting the things where you think, okay, I cannot handle that, right? That's when you start to become the match. So the best way, if you want to start to skip the contrast, is ask yourself, what is the opposite of what I'm asking? So if you're asking for a lot of money, but you cannot handle the lack of money because your whole validation is tied to money, because how you see you is all tied to money. If you're not making the great sales, you think you're questioning your business. Money dictates, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your life, how your day goes. If you get sales, you're so happy. Otherwise, the day is completely flat. If that's your situation, you are not a match because you're not able to handle the contrast. So then the contrast will keep coming until you say, you know what, it doesn't bother me. Right? So the way to become a match is, what do you want? You would love this. Can you handle? Can you still have your self-worth? How you feel about you? your emotional intelligence intact with the contrast. And if you can, you will attract that thing. So with attracting money, the contrast is I have absolute power over how I see myself. I don't decide money. I don't let money decide how I see myself. I decide that I'm worthy. I see myself abundant even without the money. I see myself worthy of that. I see myself highly successful now in the contrast, right? And if you don't do that, then you will keep attracting contrast until you do that. So actually, it's your preparation, but you can skip the preparation and say, you know what, I'm putting that part down, which is not a match. And that's how you quantum leap. So the moment you put your identity down, you put your limiting beliefs down, you realize that your outside reality starts to change really, really fast. And that's what we call quantum leap. That's not slow. That's really, really fast. So if you want to quantum leap really fast and skip the line of all the contrast, you want to ask yourself, what is it that I want? Can I handle the contrast? Am I really that version of me who can hold that, who can walk with it, who can handle that and the contrast of it? And if the answer is yes, your outside will manifest and shift in light speed. And if the answer is no, you will keep attracting contrast. So when you are attracting contrast, instead of fighting it, instead of resisting it, because if you keep doing that, you'll keep attracting it until you stop doing that and until you realize, okay, there is something I need to put down, right? Some part of my identity. Instead of actually fighting it and thinking I'm missing some step in my manifestation, ask yourself, what is it trying to tell me? What is it, like, where is it pointing? What kind of things it's triggering for me? And can I heal that? And the moment you heal that, you become a match. And you skip it. You skip the line. So this is the definition of quantum leap. This is the definition of fast, super fast. When you're like, I can become a match now. Why do I have to wait? I am actually a match now. All I have to do is see myself differently. Okay?